morning, and welcome to the War Department.
We are currently living through the most dangerous 48 hours in the history of the entire Middle East. At the very moment you hear this, the region is literally teetering on the brink, holding its breath, awaiting the great explosion. This isn't just routine military movements or empty threats like we've been hearing for years. We are witnessing a strategic landscape being reshaped by fire, and this time, the spark could ignite a conflagration. On January 31st, 2026, satellite imagery was focused with alarming precision on the ground in Iran, specifically on the nuclear facilities that had been literally reduced to rubble by the bombardment of the 12-day war in June 2025. But what the satellites captured wasn't rubble or destruction. It was frantic activity, a race against time, with metal roofs being constructed atop the ruins in record time. The whole world began asking, what are the Iranians hiding, and why are they in such a hurry? Simultaneously, radars detected intense and unprecedented American air activity. We're talking about a massive logistical airlift. 42 giant C-17 and C-5M cargo planes transported heavy military assets and air defense systems from the heart of America and Europe to the Central Command area in just 8 days. This airlift wasn't just supplying provisions, it was delivering the hammer that would strike and the shield that would protect the bases from retaliation. But the real blow, the message that made everyone hold their breath, came on February 1st, 2026. Suddenly, without warning, the entire Arabian Gulf was plunged into an electronic fog. GPS signals were either cut off or completely manipulated, and ships and planes were flying blind. This was the curtain drawn to conceal extremely precise movements taking place on the ground and in the air. All these threads lead us to one mystery, a terrifying and costly one: the fate of 409 kilograms of highly enriched uranium that the IAEA completely lost track of. We are facing a hidden nuclear treasure, and the American Army is moving with all its might to hunt down this treasure before it reaches the fortified bunkers in the heart of the mountains, and the rules of the game change forever. But is that all? Or is there something bigger hidden behind all this commotion? Why did Iran suddenly decide to turn the tables and bury its most dangerous nuclear secrets in a mountain 100 meters deep? And what made the Houthis in Yemen suddenly become the spearhead with a jet-powered air force that no one had anticipated? And who gave the order for the militias in Iraq to declare a general mobilization now of all times? Let's unpack this scene step by step and delve into the behind-the-scenes of the most dangerous military operation the region has faced in decades. We're not just talking about planes and missiles, we're talking about the night the masks fell, the moment everyone had their finger on the trigger, waiting to see who could withstand the onslaught. To understand why we're facing this explosion in February 2026, we need to go back a step, to June 2025, to the war known as Operation Midnight Hammer. This war destroyed the Natanz, Isfahan, and Fordow facilities, but it left one question unanswered: where did the nuclear materials go? The ceasefire that followed wasn't the end of the war, it was merely a lull. By January 2026, U.S. intelligence had detected that the Iranians had begun a rescue and extraction operation for the nuclear materials buried under the rubble. This prompted a massive American mobilization, 42 giant cargo planes in a single week, a force capable of shifting the balance of power across an entire continent. This airlift was intended to compensate for the critical shortage of interceptor missiles, especially after the US had depleted 25% of its THAAD system stockpile in the previous war. The cargo delivered to Al Udeid Air Base in Qatar and Mawafik Salti Air Base in Jordan consisted of personnel and equipment designed to protect these bases from the anticipated barrage of missiles following the first US strike. But even more dangerous than the defensive equipment was what was hidden inside the aircraft coming from Fort Campbell and Hunter Army bases, headquarters of the 101st Airborne Division and the 160th Special Operations Regiment. These guys weren't going to guard bases. They were hunters whose mission was to intercept convoys transporting the missing uranium before it reached the final mountain bunker, for which there was no military solution. Iran, for its part, didn't stand idly by. It too completely transformed its military. It began implementing a doctrine called denial and survival. Instead of relying on forward defense through proxies in Lebanon, it suddenly found itself exposed after Hezbollah's movements became very limited and focused solely on local survival. This forced Iran into a phase of existential survival, and it decided to move all its sensitive activities to a fortress carved into the heart of solid rock, the Jabal al-Mawal complex. Satellites confirmed that it is buried under more than 100 meters of rock and specifically designed to withstand American bunker-buster bombs. Iran says that with the first strike, the whole world will be punished by the closure of the Red Sea and the Arabian Gulf. Everyone is standing on the brink of disaster, and the electronic fog that covered the Gulf on February 1st is the final signal that we have moved from the mobilization phase to the operational phase. If we put all these threads together, we will see a completely different picture. We're not facing a conventional war. We're facing an American nuclear sterilization campaign aimed at destroying 409 kilograms of enriched uranium before it disappears forever. Are we on the verge of a new phase of escalation, or is the worst-case scenario hidden beneath the surface? The coming hours will tell us who can withstand this surface war. To understand where this game has reached, we must look at the naval chessboard currently being drawn in the waters of the Gulf and the Sea of Oman. We're not simply witnessing warships in motion. We're facing a clash between technological might and suicidal desperation. The aircraft carrier USS Abraham Lincoln is not only in an offensive posture, but it's also leading a strike force that includes 9 destroyers capable of intercepting ballistic missiles. Along with it was the giant USS Gerald R. Ford, the only nuclear-powered aircraft carrier of the new generation, carrying around 75 aircraft, including F-35 stealth fighters. When you combine these two groups, you're talking about a combat force with more than 150 fighter jets and 15,000 American troops on full combat readiness. But the Iranian response was unconventional. Tehran knew that a ship-to-ship engagement would be a losing proposition, so it decided to play the monster hunt card. Military intelligence revealed that Iran is currently betting on the Whale torpedo. This isn't an ordinary torpedo, it's a hypersonic beast that moves using a supercavity technology inside a gas bubble that reduces water friction, reaching speeds of up to 360 kilometers per hour, 4 times the speed of regular torpedoes. The Iranian supreme leader stated it explicitly: a weapon that can sink a ship is more dangerous than the ship itself. While the Whale lurked beneath the surface, the Revolutionary Guard entered the fray with a completely new force, the Shahid Bagheri drone carrier. This 240-meter-long commercial cargo ship was transformed in 2 years into a floating airbase capable of carrying 60 drones, including the Shahid 136 suicide drone with a range of up to 2,500 kilometers. The Iranian plan was swarming, meaning they would send 20 drones simultaneously to overwhelm the radars of American ships, forcing a destroyer to launch a $1 million interceptor missile to shoot down a wooden drone worth only $20,000. But America had a reverse surprise in store. The Pentagon activated a force called the Scorpion Sting Squadron, which uses a new weapon called Lucas. The strange and ironic thing is that this Lucas drone is a reverse-engineered replica of the Iranian Shahed 136. America has decided to strike Iran with its own weapon, swarms of cheap drones, to overwhelm Iran's crumbling air defenses. And the threat isn't coming from Iran alone. The entire axis of proxies has declared a general mobilization. In Yemen, the Houthis are no longer just an armed group. They've become a strategic partner equipped with jet propulsion technology. Recent interceptions revealed they've fitted their drones with jet-powered turbofan engines, increasing their speed from 200 to 600 kilometers per hour, a nightmare for any naval defense system because it reduces reaction time to almost zero. The Houthis have explicitly threatened, any attack on Iran will turn the Red Sea into a ball of fire and immediately close the Bab el-Mandeb Strait. Meanwhile, in Iraq, Kataib Hezbollah has issued a statement declaring total war. They threatened to strike all American interests in the Gulf, and they possess a missile spearhead, the Al-Aqsa-1 ballistic missile and the Argam cruise missile, whose range reaches as far as Haifa and naval vessels in the eastern Mediterranean. Tehran is now operating on a "we all live together or we all die together" basis and has lifted the orders that prevented these militias from intervening last year. But why is Tehran so nervous, and why is it rushing to bury its uranium underground? The answer lies in its internal bleeding. Iran is currently facing its most serious crisis since 1979. Bloody demonstrations have left more than 7,000 dead and 53,000 arrested. The regime fears that the American buildup is the second phase of a process to decapitate the leadership, especially after what they witnessed in Venezuela when American forces captured Maduro in his bedroom in a matter of hours. The Iranian regime believes its psychological fortress was shattered in a June 2025 war. Therefore, they're not only building corrugated iron roofs, but also a concrete coffin around the Talagan 2 facility in Parchin. Satellite images from February 2026 revealed that the tunnel entrances at the Isfahan nuclear complex were completely buried with soil to prevent any raids by special forces or airstrikes. But the question remains, will America stand idly by and watch its nuclear gold being hidden? Indications suggest that 0 hour is fast approaching. U.S. officials have stated that the military is ready to strike a wide range of targets, including missile sites, storage depots, and Revolutionary Guard headquarters. The Pentagon has deployed Patriot and THAAD missile defense systems in Jordan, Kuwait, Bahrain, Saudi Arabia, and Qatar to provide a defensive umbrella protecting allies from the anticipated retaliatory strike. We are now facing the prospect of an out-of-control operation. The American-Israeli plan today goes beyond the idea of a lightning strike and enters the realm of a major war that could last for weeks, aiming to destroy military infrastructure beyond repair. The entire region is teetering on the brink, and the electronic fog that paralyzed the Gulf in early February may be the final curtain before Tomahawk, Al-Arqam, and Al-Hut missiles begin to redraw the region's map in blood and fire. Let's delve into the behind-the-scenes details of the most complex raid possible in modern times and how America is planning to seize the 409 kilograms of uranium from the heart of Jabal al-Mala. The game has now reached a critical juncture, and the target everyone is chasing today is the Jabal al-Mala facility, also known as the Kolen Ghazla Force. This facility isn't just a storage site, it has become the last resort for the entire Iranian nuclear program after Tehran witnessed the destruction of the Natanz and Isfahan surface facilities in the June 2015 war. The Iranians desperately worked to excavate this site south of the old Natanz location, spending enormous resources on it at a time when their country was suffering from a severe economic crisis. Why Mount Mawal in particular? Because intelligence estimates indicate that the main halls of the complex are buried under more than 100 meters of solid rock and were specifically designed to withstand the Great Destruction, the American GBU-57 bunker buster bombs used by Washington in the previous war. Satellite images from late 2015 confirmed that they had completed the construction of a massive security wall, reinforced the tunnel entrances, and revealed piles of excavated material, indicating extensive and comprehensive underground work. This place is the final poison pill. The Iranians gathered there the remnants of the program and a stockpile of uranium enriched to 60% in order to create a zone of immunity from which they could threaten a rapid nuclear escalation if they felt that the regime was falling apart.
But this time, the American plan isn't just about striking the mountain. It's called nuclear sterilization. Washington doesn't want to wait until the 409 kilograms of uranium enter the mountain bunker and the doors are locked, because then the window of opportunity will be completely closed. That's why the military buildup we're seeing today is aimed at interception. The airlift, electronic jamming, and intelligence operations were all monitoring the moment the nuclear gold was loaded onto trucks, the moment the uranium was exposed as it moved along the highways before reaching the mountain stronghold. This time, the battle won't be surgical like Operation Midnight Hammer, which targeted only 3 sites. We're facing the possibility of a sustained air campaign that could last for weeks. Officials in the administration and the U.S. military say that the nature of the current buildup indicates an intention to strike a wide range of targets: missile sites, storage depots, nuclear sites, and even command centers belonging to the Iranian Revolutionary Guard. But Washington faces a major geopolitical trap. The countries of the region today are not what they used to be. Saudi Arabia and the UAE have clearly declared that their airspace and bases are off the table for any American strikes against Iran, distancing themselves from any retaliatory action that could set oil wells and cities ablaze. This has led America to concentrate most of its aircraft in Jordan and rely primarily on the floating sovereignty of aircraft carriers and on B-2 stealth bombers that can fly from Diego Garcia in the Indian Ocean or even from the heart of the United States, carry out the mission, and return. For its part, Iran has activated its existential survival protocol. The supreme leader has gone into a secret bunker. The leader's security plan has been activated, and the Revolutionary Guard is now engaged in a frantic race to rebuild its missile arsenal, but this time with a complete focus on solid-fueled missiles like the Khaibar Shakan and Hajj Qasim. Why solid-fueled missiles? Because these missiles arrive ready and loaded and can be launched in minutes, unlike liquid-fueled missiles that were visible under satellites while being fueled and were easy targets before even leaving the ground. The final scene today shows that the illusion of military parity was shattered after the 12-day war, and Iran is now operating with the logic of a besieged entity that has nothing left to lose. Mount Mawal is no longer just a facility, it has become a symbol of the fortress mentality that dominates the regime's thinking. With the arrival of the aircraft carrier Abraham Lincoln in the Gulf of Oman and the arrival of the American nuclear sniffer to monitor for any radioactive emissions, we're literally waiting for the spark that could ignite a conflict that will not be short nor clean. It will be a total chaos and costly for everyone. The entire region is standing on the brink of the abyss, and the war machines on both sides are fully charged. Are we facing a rapid nuclear sterilization? Or will the world wake up to an economic shock triggered by the closure of the Strait of Hormuz and the Bab el-Mandeb Strait? The coming days will determine the fate of this lost nuclear gold and reveal who can withstand the full force of the conflict. If you're interested in the military world, intelligence behind-the-scenes dealings, and the shifts in international politics, stay tuned for this journey. Support this type of content by sharing the episode and subscribing to the channel, because what's coming is likely to be more dangerous and profound. Are we on the verge of a new phase of escalation? Or is the worst-case scenario lurking beneath the surface?